Hello, my name is Patrick Moore,
I'm Marlisa McLaughlin.
and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Health Buzz.
Perspectives on natural health and healing.
Well, we have a wonderful show for you today that we worked long and hard on, and basically we're going to be showing you the history, origin, and the therapeutic benefits of apples. But before we get into the show, Marlisa, my co-host, has a few words she'd like to share with you.
I'd just like to dedicate this show to my father, Robert Smith. He was with us on our last taping, and for some of our viewers may have followed, he's been really coping with a serious illness, and we just want to send our thoughts and prayers and gratitude to you, Dad. We love you, and prayers are with you.
Yes, all our prayers are with him, and we wish him well on behalf of the Health Buzz show and the Health Buzz community. Well, Marlisa, apples, we kind of take them for granted, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Can apples help us live longer?
They can.
Can they help prevent cancer and heart disease or reduce our risks of that?
Keeps you thin, slim, fit.
I've heard they can keep our brains stronger. Did you know that?
Sharper. That's interesting. You do connect it with education because of the teacher, but they actually help your brain.
And what about our bones?
And bones.
We're always thinking about our weights, right? Trying to stay slim because apples, can they have an effect on that?
I think so. We should talk about that.
Now, maybe if we look to our ancestral wisdom, what was that saying, an apple a day?
Keeps the doctor away.
And if we go back even further in time, going back to Wales, eat an apple on going to bed, and you'll keep the doctor from earning his bread. So we have all of these things in our ancestral aphorisms and wise words, but it hasn't always been. I mean, there's a little troubling history with apples,
It's kind of a two-sided coin. You go back to the roots in literature all the way back to the Bible, and we have the forbidden fruit.
The Garden of Eden.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, although... in the book of
there
Genesis
are
says,
a lot of research reports out there, and one point that Medical News Today said it ranked apples first amongst the healthiest foods in the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to review some of the 10 or 11 best health benefits of apples and encourage you all to listen carefully so you can incorporate more apples into your food plan. Number 1, apples
help keep you full.
And that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a kind of a tricky thing too, the keeping you full, because sometimes I'll eat an apple and I've gotten too hungry, so I feel hungry after I eat the apple. I probably should have had 2 because...
Well, what is it that's keeping you full for most people when they eat an apple? It's that 5 grams, which is a lot.
Of fiber, yes.
5 grams of a fiber, and so it's a slow release. They call it the glycemic index. It fills you up and it slowly releases that sugar, that fructose in that apple. So have you ever thought of or seen many people talk about eating 2 apples at once?
No,
it's
I've never done it. I just eat one and think that should do it.
The brain doesn't even conceive of that for most people. The chemistry turns it off because you're full.
So when I'm hungry, I'm eating 2 next time. See if that helps.
So, okay, eat an apple, feel full, quell your appetite. Now, can they help you lose weight? Can they help you stay slim? What is that magic acid that we have? How does it pronounced?
Oh, is it
ursolic
acid?
Ursolic acid. Ursolic acid. There's an acid in apples that actually helps to revs up your muscles to burn more energy, more calories, and also really attacks what's called deep brown fat.
The difficult fat, especially for women getting a little bit older in age, that fat is very difficult to burn. A lot of us know that, so that acid helps.
Exactly.
So whatever would have thought with the apple, I wouldn't have.
So we might want to change that, and a lot of these studies have shown that 2 apples a day is actually what's needed if you're really looking to slim down. So we might want to change that aphorism to 2 apples a day can keep
the weight away.
The weight away.
That's a good one.
So try it out there, folks. Try that 2 apples at once and see what it does for you. Okay, let's go right through it. Number 3.
How about LDL cholesterol?
Oh, isn't that
that's the big
bad cholesterol that starts to plaque our arteries?
So we can get it lowered.
So we have that special fiber, pectin,
right.
It's called pectin, that sweeps away that cholesterol. And we know that cholesterol is necessary for, it's a crucial molecule that's necessary for our survival. And so they have found that the pectin helps to sweep away that cholesterol and lower the LDL, which some people think is harmful. So that's a good thing. How about number 4?
We have decreasing the risk of diabetes.
Wow.
And that's a big one. There's such an increase in diabetes as our diets have changed, and we have a lot of...
It's rampant. It's
yes,
rampant.
it really
We
is.
have a diabetes and obesity epidemic throughout America, so it is rampant.
So going back to the basic apple can really be helpful.
Yes.
And again, the low glycemic value and that slow release, it balances your sugars, and that can prevent binge eating also.
Exactly.
So timing is everything, so
Exactly.
grab an apple at the right time.
Yes. To make you feel full.
That's right.
And a slow
Slow
time
down.
release of that sugar.
Right.
Excellent.
So
And
it's
of
all
course,
starting to build.
the diabetes, there's a lot of oxidation going in your body, so all those wonderful antioxidants in apples can really help neutralize a lot of that breakdown of our DNA and cells and tissues and things like that.
And it's a prebiotic, so it's going to help with the gut health.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to feed the good guys in the stomach, so
Exactly.
you're going to actually
Okay,
benefit.
so we got the diabetes. What about the lungs? What in the lungs can we find that, or what nutrients do we find in apples that help us with the lungs?
Well, it's an antihistamine.
Yeah, what is that
So that will
nutrient?
open up the airways.
Yes, well, that's quercetin. We found, quercetin, which is it's actually called a bioflavonoid, which is a vitamin C-like compounds. And some people call it the king of bioflavonoids because it's such a powerful nutrient that we see in nature. So anti-inflammatory, this nutrient. Antihistamine, so great for allergies.
Antioxidant, one of the best antioxidants, quercetin.
Exactly.
Right.
So this helps to protect our lungs, and they've seen that the quercetin in it actually helps make our lungs actually stronger. So particularly to prevent, inflammation.
Asthma reduction
Anti-inflammatory.
for asthma attacks.
Exactly.
It's a good thing to have.
Yeah. For smokers, protecting for lungs, things of that nature.
Kids in sports, grab the apple if they're having trouble breathing.
Yes.
Natural
Okay, next one.
antihistamine.
Number 7, good for the immune system.
Very
All that
good.
vitamin C you find, right? Vitamin C you find in vitamin E. We got that quercetin again, that super nutrient.
That's
found in
anti-everything, so
Yeah.
it's going to get everything out of the way for
Exactly, that's found in the peels. The peels, the peels is where nature, just like the barks of trees, the
Right.
peels, the skin of grapes, the skin of onions and things like that, that's where the power is.
you.
and
Everything
that's where
collects
quercetin
and protects,
resides.
so that's where the nutrients are.
Okay, so good for the lungs, good for the immune system, fights cancer.
Anti-cancer.
Yeah.
Big anti-carcinogen. Biggest one you said, didn't?
Well, the quercetin, according to Dr. Patrick Quillen, who was head of the nutrition for the Cancer Centers of America, that quercetin is probably nature's strongest and most powerful and most amazing anti-carcinogen. So you find it in onions, you find it in the skin of grapes, of course the peel of apples, that's why we're talking about it, but has a remarkable effect in neutralizing a lot of cancer factors. And of course, the anti-inflammatory aspects of it too. One thing, just to go through some of the notes. I mean, it inhibits this cell proliferation and it promotes what's called apoptosis, cell suicide with cancer cells, and helps to prevent angiogenesis. Remember that word?
Yes, where the passage is quicker for the tumor to develop.
Yes, new blood vessels and things of that nature. So again, a remarkable nutrient. So great for cancer prevention. Okay, number 8. What about the brain?
Boost the brain power. Talk about the alpha waves.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have that boron. Boron, again, is a trace mineral which is needed in very small amounts. And a lack of boron, you get these theta waves they've discovered, which
makes you sluggish. So lack of boron makes you boring. It's a good way to remember it. So get that boron in your diet.
Sufficient amounts of boron make you brainy.
Right.
And they found that it activates all this electrical activity in your mind and it moves quicker, hand-eye coordination, and better memory, better alertness. So apples have that boron, which isn't found in many places in nature.
And it's a good way to get it, too, because like I had said before, if you're lacking something in your diet, it's just as bad as if you have too much of a bad thing. So an apple is a good way to get those trace minerals in small amounts.
Yeah, and there's a be-like
Well-dialect
vitamin 2 in apples. One is called acetylcholine, which is really powerful for upping your memory. In fact, a lot of drugs destroy that. A lot of seniors are put on some of these antipsychotics, drugs, things of that nature, and they really deplete choline from your brain.
Oh, that's so good to know.
Yeah.
So you could actually combat that a little bit by getting the apple into your diet a little bit more.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about heart healthy.
Heart healthy. How
What's
about
in
it?
apples that can help? What are in apples that can help us?
Well, with the quercetin again, another powerful thing, anti-inflammatory. It's going to reduce all of
Sure,
that
because
pressure around you.
inflammation has been implicated in heart disease over the last 10 years
Big
now.
time,
That's
big
the big
time.
culprit, even more than cholesterol, bad
Right.
cholesterol, inflammation.
And the absorption of potassium.
Yes, the potassium
really-
for blood
really
pressure you
strong, right.
find in apples, which is so therapeutic, and all the antioxidants, all those antioxidants and nutrients in apples, and the vitamin C, vitamin E, all heart-healthy foods. So,
And the Women's Health Study, it had mentioned the reduction, 22% reduction in heart risk?
yes, amazing results. Women who, were eating up to 5 apples a week, 22% reduction in cardio risk factors or events such as stroke and heart attack. So, an apple a day
Keeps the heartache, the heart, not the heartache.
could ache the heart. It could,
It
yeah,
could be
exactly.
heartache if you have a heart attack.
Yeah, heart attack. Yes, yeah. So, all right. What's happening as we get older? What's happening to our bones?
Well, they are getting deplete,
Weaker,
yes, of calcium.
weaker. And women
So
go
that's
through menopause, and
Right.
what hormone are they losing?
estrogen.
Estrogen is being depleted, and things like that. That keeps your body strong.
That's right.
So, one thing about apples is again, once again, our old trace mineral called boron, which has a tremendous effect on keeping calcium from leaving the body and also helping calcium to absorb. Our super nutrient or super mineral boron. It also has an effect on vitamin D.
Which is huge because vitamin D is not just a vitamin. Remember, it's also a hormone. So it's helping a lot of other things happen. It's not just sitting there.
Yes,
doing
it
one
extends the half-life of vitamin D, so it makes
long-
it
right.
very And a lot of people, they've shown that low levels of boron, you're going to feel more arthritis, more inflammation in your body, right? Arthritis.
Right,
So
and
boron can help.
Up in the osteoporosis goes up, the risk for that. If
Yes,
you're
and
leaking.
also, boron, hormonal health. We talked about that estrogen,
Right.
menopause.
Reduction of hot flashes possibly.
hot flashes,
So
night
3
sweats.
apples a day, ladies. 3 apples a day.
3 apples, maybe up your sex drive too, some people think in that respect. So apples can also, essential oil of apples, what effect do they have on our brain
Oh, the
centers?
aromatherapy, it just can relax you. You're going to breathe deeper. That's going to create less anxiety. I know for myself going to the apple orchard, the minute I step into the orchard, I have a sense of freedom and relaxation, and I just become more alive.
Yeah, well,
In a relaxed way.
the great institute out in Chicago, run by Dr. Alan Hirsch, he's head of the foundation for smells and all their effects they have, has found that it has a noticeable effect on lessening the pain of migraines.
Oh, that's amazing.
For
Because
people
migraines
suffering
are
from
pretty
migraines,
tough too.
essential oils of apple,
Right.
fantastic.
I wouldn't
And-
have thought that. And we do have a show on essential oils, so you might want to go back and check that out if you're interested.
Yes, apples, again, with appetite control, and again, calmness of mind, anti-anxiety. So many therapeutic benefits of apples, and, we think that there's a reason why an apple a day came along, keeps the doctor away.
And the weight away, and the heart
I'll say
attack
keeps
away.
the pharmacist away.
And the pharmacist.
Yes.
But what about during apple season? Well, just reminds me of apple juice, but apple cider vinegar is really a big
Yes, do
beneficial.
we have a apple cider
We have a
vinegar?
recipe
Patricia
for you.
Bragg and her father. I use this all the time. there's so many benefits to apple cider vinegar. You got all the live bacteria and enzymes which help with digestion. The vinegar,
Antimicrobial.
yes,
Right.
antiseptic.
Right.
Hippocrates used it to disinfect wounds and things of that nature.
Powerful.
And I know a lot of people who use it for blood sugar control, a couple tablespoons before dinner. It affects your blood sugar, so things
For
are really
weight loss. And there's an energy drink recipe if you don't want to put other things in your body. Try
Wow.
that.
Honey, cinnamon, cayenne pepper with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. That's,
And some
I've
purified
used
water.
it in the intensive care unit at Yellow Haven Hospital. I got it onto the formulary because I felt it had, with my mom when she was there, a cleansing effect on the body. The malic acid, acetic acid, you use it to clean a coffee pot, right?
Right, so you can imagine.
Windows and things of that nature, but those acids to me have a cleansing effect on the body. And in many cases, I've had clients who have lost significant pounds by taking 2 to 4 tablespoons a day of apple cider vinegar. So multiple benefits. Oh, Dandruff on the hair, used it before, just rub it in because it kills dandruff. Most dandruff is a fungus. And another thing, since I'm in the world of cosmetics, it's a cheap alpha hydroxy, so it can defoliate all those dead skin cells and give you a nice, fresh look.
And we used to do it, use it for sunburn.
Oh yeah, sunburns.
Yeah, I remember those days, and we all would run away when it would come out because of the smell, but it helped.
It quells the burn, and I've used it a lot for poison ivy, any type of itching situations. You know, instead of putting a cortisone cream, just rub yourself with the apple cider vinegar in those places and work beautifully.
Aha.
Yeah.
It is. It's multi-functional.
Yeah, so anyway, that's pretty much an overview of some of the therapeutic benefits of apples, and
we did want to just share with you to just boron and quercetin. I had never really heard of those words before, so
yeah,
super
repetition.
nutrient.
For any of the old timers out there, boron, they might think of borax, you know, which was used as a cleansing agent. Ronald Reagan once hosted that show, the old Ranger 20,
Right.
what it was, a 20 mule team, borax, things of that nature. So a lot of it was mined in Death Valley. And of
then
course,
quercetin.
that
Great
superstar nutrient
antioxidant.
for anti-cancer, antioxidant,
Anti-inflammatory,
anti-everything
bad, so.
antiviral. So the wonderful, wonderful nutrient are the two superstars. So
We have a special guest.
we have
for
a
you
special
today.
guest for you today that we've invited, and our special guest is named Carlina Moore, and she is our student nutritionist, student scientist. She's appeared and done a great job for us in the past in talking about being the bees and the world of bees and the queen bee, and she's also appeared on our Healthiest Food show. So she's here to tell us a little more insights about Johnny Appleseed and trees in general. So thank you very much, Carlina, for being with us.
It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Welcome back,
Again.
Carlina.
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, it's good to have you back on our show, Carlina.
Yes.
And you look really good, and are you just coming from your lab, your
Yep.
research lab, where you're making a lot of slime, I'm sure.
Yes,
and other
as
different
always.
things. Yeah, it's a real chemist. Carlina's a tremendous chemist when it comes to mixing doses and things of that nature. So you've been doing some research on apples, and
Yes.
what's your favorite apple?
Well, I'd have to say Fuji's.
Oh, by the way, thank you for bringing us those nice apples, too.
Yes.
We're going to have them right at the end. But Fuji,
Fuji's definitely my favorite apple.
where's that come from?
It comes from Japan, actually.
Oh, from Fuji.
Fuji, Japan?
Fuji's,
Yeah.
well, there's Mount Fuji, Fujisaki.
Yes,
I've heard
yeah,
of that place
Fujisaki,
before.
yes.
That's a hybrid, right, with the red delicious? Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Talk on,
That's
speak
a
on.
hybrid. So you have something to tell us about Johnny Appleseed? Because he
Yes.
was one of the great folklore figures in American history, and particularly with apples, right?
Yes, Johnny Appleseed was a young man in Massachusetts, and when he was 18, he moved to Pennsylvania with his brother to start being an apprentice at an apple orchard and start planting seeds. So he started at a very young age.
Wow.
Yeah.
With a passion, it sounds like.
Yeah.
He had some mission or passion. What, you know, what,
He was
what-
a missioner for the new church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He loved spreading God's words, and he loved doing that.
He was a nature boy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Quite the nature boy.
So he saw the whole total picture of nature and God were one
Yeah.
almost, right?
He believed in that strongly, and he wanted to make sure that everyone in the Midwest had the word, all the settlers, and he wanted to make sure that all the settlers near the Midwest had apples, like to eat, as
Yes.
a food, as a source of food, and he wanted to make sure that they had apples to make apple cider.
Yes, and of course, Marlisa, back in those days, they were always concerned about drinking water and maybe infected drinking water. So it made a lot of those settlers very happy because they could make what was called applejack or apple brandy.
Right.
Because those apples were a little bit tart originally, right, Carlina?
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
tart. Not all of them were for eating and things like that. So
Some were poisoned, actually, or like they had
the seeds
yeah, their
originally, the
seeds.
seeds. So they just make them into different drinks. So what did Johnny Appleseed do from there? I mean, he went spread the wealth, spread
Yeah.
all the seeds, and
He had a very good relationship with the Native American Indians.
oh,
Yeah. They called him the blessed man from
touch
the
by the
touched
great
by the
spirit
great
of the
spirit
sky,
of the
right?
sky, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And they had such a great relationship that the Native American Indians actually taught him about different medicinal plants and where they're from, where to find them, how to make them grow.
So he planted more than just apple orchards
yes,
and
a lot
things.
more.
He
And
did all the
I'm sorry. I was just,
the medicinal plants.
I was just remembering how I had thought that he had traveled the whole country, and my memory just remembered that. But he was walking, and it was way back when, so he couldn't get as far as I thought.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a map actually of where he actually planted his orchard.
That's a lot of walking.
That is a
when you
lot
think
of
about
walking.
it. I mean, think about walking through Connecticut. These are big states.
Really, yeah.
And the
Pennsylvania,
Northwest
Ohio
Territory,
Valley.
that had just opened up, so we hadn't even gone much further than that, had we?
Well, the Lewis and Clark was before that, but still, it's a wild wilderness
It's settlement,
out there.
right? That's a pretty.
I mean, this is going back in the
large area.
1820s, 1830s, and a lot of this country was unsettled back then.
And that postage stamp actually didn't come into play until 1966, so there was a huge gap.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's a work of art.
It is a
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
of art. Now, what about that pot they have on his head in a lot of the depictions?
Yeah, well, actually, it's not really a hat. It's more of like he used it for cooking and eating. So he didn't have a bag to put it in on his travels, so he just plopped it on his head.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's cute.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And there are a
So
lot
he was
of
practical.
A lot of things about apples. I mean, there's so many apples, right?
Yes.
How many?
Over 7,500 different varieties of
Wow.
apple.
I wouldn't
Wow.
have guessed that if it was a trick
Yeah,
question.
that's a lot of apples.
There's
and
a
you'd be
few right
surprised where
there.
a lot of them came from, the original
Yeah.
seeds, right?
Yeah, they actually mostly originated from Kazakhstan, which is located in Central Asia.
Ah, big country just
Yeah.
west of China. It's amazing that most of the seeds actually came from that one place in
Yeah.
the world, they determined.
Who would have
Aren't
known?
And apples, aren't they one of the most cultivated foods on the planet?
Yes.
They are
Yes.
the massively found everywhere,
Yes.
all around.
Yes.
So they've really made their way.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
That's just incredible. Because I've just put the apple in the back seat. I just don't have it enough in my diet. And since we started doing the preparation for the show, I've just been eating apples all the time.
Yeah, you kind of
Yeah.
take them for granted
You
in a way,
do.
right? They're there.
We've had
different
them.
kinds.
Like I said, there's so many new fruits and new diet trends. So
Yeah.
you're trying all different things, and some things can fall away. So bring the apple back, folks.
Yeah, bring it back. So I have a question for you as our nutritionist. Is there a big difference at all between a green and a red apple?
Oh, good question.
First of all, they're both fantastic for you, but nature has its own ways of telling you what has more nutrients. So, a fruit or a vegetable or a plant with a darker pigment, like red, blues, like blueberries, purples, for beets, they actually have more nutrition and
Yes.
nutrients in them.
Like in the red delicious
Yeah,
apple.
yes.
Yeah. There was a Canadian study I read about that had the most antioxidants, the deep red delicious apple, than any other apple on the market.
Makes
so
sense.
yeah, nature has a way of telling us. But they're both great.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, okay. And now the other tradition is when I was a young student, one time I brought an apple to my teacher as a gift. That was an old tradition. I don't see it as much today, do you?
No,
As
and
much
where
today in our
does it
schools?
come from? Where's that tradition
Actually,
come from?
in Scandinavian countries, when parents couldn't afford to pay for their children's education, they just gave the teacher a basket of apples.
And that worked.
Yeah, who worked?
Wow, that's awesome.
And then they brought that tradition
Yeah.
to America? I see. And, well, were there any other reasons they might have been bringing apples?
Well, there's one other reason. An apple for the teacher will always do the trick when you don't know your lessons in arithmetic.
That's
So,
a good
are you
prop.
suggesting that to students, if you're not, it's okay, as long as you bring an apple to the teacher, it's okay to not do your homework?
Nope.
Okay, thanks. So anyway, Johnny Appleseed, the one thing about that stamp, many states celebrate Johnny Appleseed Day with Arbor Day.
That's right.
In combination, Arbor Day. And Arbor Day is in Connecticut, when is it?
It's April 29th.
April 29th. And what is it?
It's the day where we celebrate not only Johnny Appleseed, but all the benefits of trees and all the great things they've done for us.
And that's the day that everybody should go out and plant trees?
Yes.
And what are some of the benefits of trees?
Well, they actually they cool our streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cool and shade our streets, which reduces our need for electricity.
Ex-
Oh, and
Excellent.
reduces pollution too.
Yes,
So
yes,
it just trickles
and-
down the line.
And they help filtering our air and water.
Yeah, I read a study a number of years ago in Harvard that they detoxified the air, the trees. They calculated it removed 73 tons of pollutants
That's
just by having those
amazing.
trees around Harvard. Yeah. So also they have, it's nature, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah, they're very good for relaxing, just being around nature.
sure,
And the
Carmen.
energy of the tree root, you
Yeah.
can take your shoes off and just sit down next to that and just absorb all that wonderful earth energy. And root energy is very grounding to be near trees, and it's awesome to
It's
climb.
very calming, yes.
Really fun to
Yeah.
climb trees too, and sit
Yeah.
in the crooks and
Yeah, so there's so much to it, and we kind of, today the purpose of our show is to bring back a lot of the ancestral wisdom, our relationship with nature, and you see in our society today that young people, and all people for that matter, are more indoors than they've ever been before. They're not out taking enough hikes in nature or looking at trees and looking at leaves and really, understanding.
just breathing outside air.
Yeah, understanding exactly, the beauty of nature. I took Carlina for a tree walk up at the Ansonia Nature Center, a 2-hour tree walk, and we identified every single tree. It
That's
was
so much fun.
fascinating to learn
now
everything
when I'm
about it.
driving on the highway, I try to identify the trees. So
And there's an app actually, isn't there, where you can, if you have a leaf, you can take
Oh,
a
yeah,
picture
yeah.
of that and it can identify
Yes,
if you're in a
yes.
creek and you need to.
I guess there's an app for everything, right?
There is, yeah. There's an apple for everything.
So let's, well, first of all, thank you, Carlina, for giving us that insight on Jeff and Appleseed.
I have one message to go out to the world. So on Arbor Day, I encourage you to celebrate and plant a tree not just for Johnny Appleseed, but for me.
Oh, okay. We'll do that just for you and for everyone.
Yes,
and
for
the
everyone.
planet, for the environment, for everything like that. So that's wonderful. Well, in summarizing our apple show, I mean, we started off with just a little aphorism: an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
And it keeps
And
the
then we
weight away
started
and heart
to
attacks away. And
Find all these different benefits, that they're remarkable nutrients, absolutely amazing nutrients in apples. And we learned about these two superstars, boron,
And
brains and
quercetin, yeah.
bones,
Brains and bones,
quercetin,
antioxidant, anti-inflammatory,
cancer, antihistamine, antiviral.
then the list goes on.
Yeah, powerful nutrients in apples. And what can we do to incorporate more apples into our diet? Apple cider vinegar, apple sauce. You talked a little bit about apple juice and things of that nature.
Oh, and my dad's favorite is to take your apple, core it out, and put some, well, it's brown sugar. He likes the brown sugar, but
Yeah, well, that's
pops
fine.
it in the oven, and there you go. At least you're getting your apples.
That's fine. So would you like to wrap up our show and summarize it?
Just like to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Carlina, for
Carlina,
being
thank
a
you for being
wonderful
our
guest.
guest very
No
much.
problem.
And instead of the forbidden fruit, I think the apple has been the forgotten fruit. So let's just
Yeah.
bring it back and remember it and celebrate and eat it as much as you can.
And that it truly belongs in our gardens of Eden.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, our gardens of Eden, this heavenly fruit that can have so much benefit to all of us. So anyway, thank you very much for listening in, and we look forward to our next Health Buzz show and sharing more information with you.
And
So
be
thank
well.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.